Shalom, shalom, Facebook fam. Dreaded Farmer just jumping on here with a little encouragement today. Right now we got this epidemic going, and if you look at the stats, it's different than what you might think. So the perception out there and what's going on and the actual stats of it, there's definitely going to be some changes. But one thing that I want to encourage believers and those that are starting to put their trust in Yah or Elohim, I want to encourage you in a passage from Psalm 91. I shared it yesterday, and it's a prayer that I have for everyone. And so this is something I'm gonna start sharing bits and pieces of throughout the week and throughout the month, because it's so telling as to how we are to deal with these times, right? So I'll read the first verse. Psalm 91, verse 1. He who dwells in the shelter of Elyon will abide in the shadow of Shaddai. And what does it mean to dwell in the shelter of the Most High? We know that God is our fortress. We know that He is, to Abraham, He said he's his shield and his reward is great. So He's our shield, He's our shepherd, He's our shelter, our fortress. And Yeshua taught his Talmudim, his disciples, that we need to abide in Him. We need to abide in Him. We need to dwell in Him and He in us, right? So if we are those that are redeemed from the nations, those that are redeemed from His people, then we are dwelling in Him and He is dwelling in us. So if we're abiding in Him, we're abiding in this shelter of the Almighty, the Most High, El Elyon, then He is our protection. So no matter what's going on in the world right now, as believers, we can't fear the things of the world nor love them, right? Because if we love the things of the world, then the love of the Father is not in us. We're not to love those things or fear those things, because He who is in us is greater than he that's in this world. And so we have power within us. We have power from the Most High. We have power from the one that created it all, right? The one that's sovereign over all things, the one that has providence over all that we're dealing with right now. Nothing happens without Him. Nothing. He is the creator and sustainer of all things. So knowing that He is the creator and sustainer, and you serve this creator and sustainer, and knowing that He does all things for your good and His glory, right? So everything's done for my good and His glory. So He's being glorified in the things that cause these troubles on most people. Anybody that's dealt with sickness knows that sickness basically lets you know how mortal you really are, right? We tend to feel immortal and untouchable until we're sick. But once we're sick, or once we have something or an adverse situation, then we realize, hey, we're not in control. God is in control, and the only way out of this situation is through Him. So He is the one that can release us from the fear, the stress, the anxiety that comes along with all the situations now. And right now, when I look around, I see people panicking. I see people in fear. I see even believers, when we're told to be alert and sober, and we're supposed to be, not afraid. We're supposed to be not surprised by the things that are going on around us, right? We know that He is our shield. He is our fortress. He is our protector. So He's going to protect us until it's time for us to go. Right? So in the end, as a believer, I don't fear death at all. And you shouldn't either. And you should know that our days are numbered. He has our days numbered. So we're not going anywhere until we're done with His plan for us, right? So when the plan is done, He's going to call us home. So if my plan is done today, then, I could get smoked by a truck. I could get, I could catch some illness that takes me down super quick. It doesn't matter, but I can't worry about those things. I have to abide in Him, and I have to glorify Him on a daily basis. So I'm going to proclaim His name to everyone that I see. I'm going to encourage you to do the same. If people are dying all over the world right now, and people are getting sick, and they're not wanting to be, around each other, and we want to set our chairs, 3 feet apart and all this kind of stuff, not shaking hands, not being out and about, then in the end, we need to pray for each other. We need to pray for each other. We need to pray for the souls of those that are sick. We need to pray for the souls of those that are being affected by what's going on in the world and what's going on with world health, right? So So this isn't a time to shy back. This isn't a time to step back and retreat. This is time to draw out and draw near and to pray for those around you and to pray that God has mercy on those that are sick and has mercy on you as well, because we're all deserving of death. We're all deserving of that death penalty. But thanks be to Yeshua the Messiah that we could be redeemed, we could be bought at a high price, and we don't have to suffer what he did or what we should suffer, right? But he did tell us that in this world we will have trouble. So take heart, because he has overcome the world. So I say that just to say that we should not fear what's going on. Don't be alarmed. Don't be scared. Don't be fearful. Just know that God is in control. He is on his throne and he is sovereign over all of this. There's nothing going on right now that's too big for him. If he wants us to get past this, he will get us past it. If this is the ushering in of end times, and it's the ushering in of end times. But in the end, we know the end from the beginning. We know how this thing ends. So be courageous and know that he has not left you nor forsaken you. And so the second part of this passage in verse 1 talks about abiding in the shadow of Shaddai. Now, many of your translations talk about the shadow of the Almighty. And the Almighty is not really a valid translation for Shaddai. Shaddai means the breasted one. The Shaddai means my sustenance. So in the Hebrew, Shaddai really points more towards this being his name, saying that he is the all-sufficient one, the one that is all-sufficient to give us the sustenance we need to live out this life. So know that we are dwelling in his fortress, dwelling in his hiding place, dwelling in his shelter. He protects us, right? But then he also provides for us. He gives us our sustenance daily. So we have the physical food that we eat every day, but then we have the spiritual food that comes from Mashiach, Yeshua. And he is Shaddai. He is El Shaddai, the all-sufficient one. So just know that you serve a God that's all-sufficient, meaning he can take care of any of us in any way we need, any shape or form, no matter what's going on around you. He can take care of us. He is the all-sufficient one. He is the Almighty, absolutely, but that's not what Shaddai is. Shaddai is the all-sufficient one. He's the one that is going to provide for us. He's the one that's going to give you the physical, the mental, the spiritual. He's going to give you the financial. He's going to give you everything that you need to get through what you're going through. He's not going to put you through something that he doesn't equip you to get through. And so when you're out there proclaiming his name to those that are lost, remember that nothing's going to happen to you that he doesn't ordain, and that he will get you through the situation until it's time to call you home. And I just want y'all to marinate on that today. Take a look at Psalm chapter 91. And like I said, I'm going to be covering this with you each day, but take a look at Psalm chapter 91 so you know what I'm talking about. But this is what I call doomsday insurance or doomsday assurance, right? So as things are getting worse, you need to remember whose child you are. As things get worse, remember who is it that you stand before, because that is going to be key to your response to your environment, right? We can't control the environment. We don't have any control of how people treat us. We don't have control of, the person that, the minute you're in the line and you sneeze or something, that everybody turns around and looks at you like you're crazy, like you're about to infect everybody. I'm hearing about violence and stuff in the subways and on the streets, violence against Asians, violence against people that have a cold or flu. It's silliness. It really is. But this is what fear does. This is what panic does. And so I'm telling believers right now, that's not for you. Fear is not for you. Being scared is not for you. This is not something that you should fear. You should not fear death. You should not fear sickness. You should not fear any of those things. Only fear the Most High God, El Elyon, the Most High, the Shaddai, the all-sufficient one. Fear him, and he will be your light. He will take care of your daily needs. And know that if he can take care of lilies in the field and ravens of the air, how much more precious are you? So I want y'all to live it, love it, and share it. And I just pray that all those that are listening today, all those that are out there dealing with different situations that are a part of this coronavirus, that the Most High, all-sufficient God will be their shelter, that they would abide in him, that they will remember that he is the one that's taken them out of bad situations and put them into good situations. He's the one that's taken us out of bondage and brought us into his good land. So remember the promises that Yah, your Elohim, has given you, and just abide in his shelter and in his love, and just have and take on that joy that's indescribable that only comes from him, because he is the one that is the perfecter of our faith. So I want y'all to live it, love it, and share it. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Oh, and I love all y'all, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, but you do that.